Hello guys, so this is a recorded video to demonstrate to us how to generate the calendar table with Power Query. If you can recall, in the previous class, we generated calendar table using what? We used Power BI and we wrote some functions using calendar auto, and we generated the year, month, number, month, quarter. Okay. So in this video now, I'm going to be showing you how to generate calendar table through another means using Power Query. So we go over to Power Query by coming to transform data. And how do I do that? If you can look at my screen now, I'm basically going to come over here in transform data. And once I click on transform data, it takes me to Power Query. And once I'm in Power Query, what I only need to do is to begin to follow the process that will allow me to generate the calendar table. Okay. And this is Power Query, guys. Remember, we have our fact table and the other dimensions. We have the region, the model, and the LOB. So we want to generate a new query. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to new source. And I'm going to click on blank query. Once I'm under blank query, I can rename this query as calendar. I can call it my calendar because it's going to contain the calendar. And once I am done with that, basically, what I only need to do is to come over here. Hold on for me 1 second, please. Okay. Yeah, so this is Power Query. I have my facts, the region, DLOB, and the model. So what I only need to come is to come over here. I've renamed it to calendar. And once I'm here in my apply step, I'm going to be applying insert step after. I'm going to be doing that. And I'm just going to do insert step after. So what is the plan of attack? The plan of attack is that I am going to, first of all, have a start date. I'm going to know my start date because if I want a calendar, I have to have a start date and an end date. So how do I do that? I need to say that, okay, given my data source that I have, in my data source, we have a column, which is trade date column. So in your trade date column now, what we want to do is we want to find the minimum date there, and maximum date. We are going to use it to generate our start date. So our start date is going to be the first day of year in trade date. And end date is going to be last day of the year in trade date. What I basically mean, last day of the maximum year. Let me call it maximum year. And this is going to be of the minimum year. So what I basically mean is that, yes, first day of minimum year in trade date, last day of max year in trade date. So once I have this, I can say that, okay, the boundary of my calendar is going to be, okay, the list date and the last date. So I want my calendar to be between these two things. So what I'm going to do now is to just start generating that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, custom, and I'm going to come over here. You know, this is custom. I'm just going to write a formula here in my formula bar. I'm going to call it list.min. So, and I'm going to put whatever is my fact sales, and I'm going to put the corresponding fact sales trade date. Okay. Okay, there's a typo here. And this should work. So it's telling us that 03/01/2014 is the minimum date that I have in my work. So from this minimum date, we can see, I can now call it this what? I can call it the start year. Or let's call it its start date. Start year. Minimum, let's call it minimum date, min date. And I'm going to apply step to get my max date now. And over here now, I'm just going to delete this guy. And my max date is going to be list.max. List.max, open brackets, and I'm going to have fact sales, trade date. So Power Query is telling me that this is supposed to give me my maximum date in my data. Maximum data of my data, and it's going to generate it now. Let's see what it gives us. So let us just rename this guy. Okay, let's wait for it. Okay, we can see 30/06/2015 is the maximum date, and we call it max date. So with this date now, you can see now from this maximum date, this is 30/06/2015. So I want my calendar to end in the last day of the year of this 30/06, which is 31/12/2015. And I want my start date to be 01/01/2014. My end date is going to be what? 31/12/2015. So I basically come over here and I want to write a query now, and that is going to generate what? That is going to generate a date from the start of the year for me. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say date.start. We are going to say date.start, start of year. And I'm basically going to put min date, which I have already. Okay, it's telling me, okay, this is an error, date.start. Okay, that should work. Okay, I think it's supposed to be small letter M-I. Can see small letter I. Okay, let us just change this guy to capital M, capital I mean. Okay, so we can see now that we have 01/01/2014, and I can call this guy start date. Start date. And I insert another step, and this other step, I want to call it end date, which is going to be date dot what? End of year. Date dot end of year, and fact is trade date. Oh, that's an error. It's supposed to be end of year. Not fact says it's supposed to be max date. Okay, so we have 31/12/2015. So after doing that, I can rename and call it end year, end date. So we want to generate what is the number of days do we want to generate? So the number of days is basically going to be the difference between the end date and the start date. And I'm going to come to insert step after. And after doing that, I'm going to write a function that tells me which is going to be duration. I want the duration.days. And if we check what duration.days does, let's just go back a little. Duration. You can see now that it accepts some arguments, which is going to be just one. So we are going to put end date minus start date. And we add 1 to it to tell us that we are generating 2 days. It's just like when you have Monday and Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday is 2 days. If you subtract those days together, it's going to give you 1. But I want Monday and Tuesday, so I need to add 1 to it to give me the required number of days. So basically, I can rename this guy and call it length. And I can insert step after and find my interval. Interval is for my calendar dates now. How many do I want a date for every day, or I want a date in my calendar to be every 2 days, every week? So I need to specify that. And for my interval now, it's going to be very easy to do. My interval is just going to be 1, but I need to write it in a date format. So 1.0 column 00 column 00 to tell me that is 1 day, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. That is what this is telling us. And I enter. After entry, I can rename this guy and call it what? Interval. Now we are good to go. The next thing now is to generate our day. So I'm going to just insert another step again. After doing that, I'm going to say that list.dates, and I'm going to come here. I'm going to write the function list.days. So list.days .date is going to, so what does list.date accept? Basically, okay, there is an error. List.date. We can see it accepts start date, count as number, and step. So our start date, we already know it. We type it there. Start date. Number of days is going to be length, and comma interval. That is what we basically need to do. And we are good to go. Okay. So over now, what we are expecting now is that it's going to give me a list of dates between my start date and my end date. Okay, and that is what we have now. 01/01/2014, which is a list. And after doing that, I can quickly come over here. This is a list, and my top left corner, I have to date over here, guys. And I'm just going to click on to date, to table, I mean. Okay. Now, after doing that, I can rename the column, and I can change the data type to date. And once I'm done with this, my work is 90% done. What I only need to do is with a click of a button, I can generate my month, year, quarter, whatever I want to do, whatever I want to generate, whatever I'm interested in generating, I'm going to do that. Okay, it is still loading. Let us just wait for some seconds. And we are going to have our full date. We are going to have our full date. Okay, so I come to add column. Once I'm in add column tab over here, add column. I basically come to date over here, and I'm just going to say, okay, what do I want? I want to add a column, my year. I'm going to put year, and it generates year for me in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. You get your year, and I have it. And I come back to my date. I make sure it's selected. I come to date. I want month, name of month. And in about some few seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I generate my what? My month name. And I can basically repeat the same step again and generate my month number. We are going to need month number. We are going to need month number to do a custom sort. Okay, and in some seconds, we have our month number, which is going to be useful for us when we get to Power BI. We should have seen this in the previous video. If you have not watched it, try and watch before doing this. Okay, and we have our month number. Let me rename it to month number. And the next thing to do is to also select my date again. What else do I need? I need to generate quarter of the year. Quarter of the year. And I click on it, I have my quarter of the year. Okay, in some few seconds, we are going to have our quarter of the year. And we can basically repeat it for all other ones. We can generate the day of the week number, and we are good to go. Everybody is happy. Okay, we have a quarter of the year, but this quarter now, we can still do something to it and say that column from examples. There are several ways to do it. I want to use column from examples, column from selection. Excuse me. And I'm going to say that, okay, Q1, I want it to start with Q1. And I'm going to accept this guy and enter. This is not just like flash fill in Excel. So, okay. So now I have this, I can decide to call this I can decide to call this quarter of year. And what do I do next? I can come back to my add column, date, I can generate, what do I want? I want my week number, week of the year. I want to compare sales based on the week of the year. It is very possible to do that also. And with this now, we can see now that we have been able to generate a calendar table with Power Query. So even when you have a new data and a new data comes, this calendar table is always going to be checking whatever is in your fact sales table to determine what is the start of the date that I want to generate and what is the end of the date. And it is very dynamic. You can always use it. The last thing I want to show you guys is that you can come here over to view and come to advanced editor and it's going to show you the M language that is behind everything we have written. So basically, this guy, you can copy it out, save it inside a notepad or anything that it's similar, or Word, anything, save it inside. And what you can do is to, once you copy it out, is that whenever you have another work that you want to do, a Power BI project, and you need a calendar days, just come, open a blank query and copy and paste whatever you have here and put it there. The only thing is that you just need to change your fact cells, because if it's a new project, your date table, your date column might not be fact cells straight date. It can be something else. And this is the only two things you need to adjust. And you are going to get your what? Your calendar table. Everything I've done in this Power Query inside Power BI today can also be done in the Power Query of Excel. You can do it in Power Query of Excel by opening a blank query, and you're also going to be able to do it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have learned something. Let me know the one you prefer between this method of generating calendar table or the Power BI approach. So what I basically need to do is just to do close and apply, and you have everything you have done inside. You have it inside Power BI now. You have it inside Power BI. So you can always choose the one you want between the calendar method that I use and the calendar method that gives me using Power BI, or the other new calendar guy I'm bringing in, which is from what? From Power Query. So you basically don't need to have the two. You just need to have one. I'm just trying to show you that it is very possible to do what? To also generate your calendar table with Power Query. So anyone you wish, you can always use. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I expect you guys to try and implement what we have done here. And let me see the results. So we have this calendar guy, and you can come to your data table, your data, the data view, and you come to calendar, and you have everything you have. You have everything, and everything is fine. You can do any analysis that you want. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a nice time.